Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the phase one of Let's Learn Binary. Today, we have with us three absolutely amazing people who are going to teach us non engineers the very essence of engineering, that is coding. Here we have Mr. Imran Sayed, who is a digital marketer and a social media executive at CEO&TRENDS. He also has conducted sessions on roadmap to full stack development for the Rotaract Club of KC College and is currently working as a freelance full stack developer. We also have Mr. Anit Singh, who has worked with four different international companies as well as startups which are from the US, where he worked as web developer and as a business developer too. He was also the lead overall coordinator of the Ecell of KC College. He is now working with Pack Universe as an IT manager. And finally, we have Mr. Tushar Trivedi, who works as a data scientist and is now working with one of the most renowned brands, which is TCS. So even though they all are engineers, we still have a panel with a pretty diverse background. We all are very much excited to learn from you about all the nitty-gritties of coding. Handing it over to you, sir.
Okay, so thanks a lot, Varun, for your great start. So, hi guys, I am Anit Singh, and I have two more friends with me, Imran and Tushar, who will be explaining you about all the further details. So, yeah, before starting, I'd like to tell you a bit about programming. So, learning programming may seem like a huge task, and there's a lot to cover if you're starting from zero. And some learners get overwhelmed because they don't know where to start. So that's why today we want to discuss, as in, what exactly programming is, how all it started, and what are the fields, what are the industries. We'll be sharing some resources with you from where you can start from zero and go up building your knowledge to a particular extent. So yeah, let's start and let's have fun together. So let's start from the beginning. I hope my presentation is visible.
Yes, it is.
That's great. That's great. So, what is programming basically? So, programming is basically the communication of the human and the machine. So, the machine can be anything basically, it can be any hardware for that matter. So, it is the basic communication between human input and machine output. So we as a human give some input to the machine, and that machine in turns gives us some output. So that's the whole crux, you can say, about programming. And the whole machine human communication, that's the whole crux of programming. So yeah, so it is the way that a computer knows how and when to process data. So we give some input to the machine. It can be in the form of some text, it can be voice, it can be video, it can be data. So the machine processes it according to our needs, according to the instructions that we give to the machine, and then we get the final output. So on the right you can see there's the first electronic computer, which was largely it's a very fun fact. I'll say that it was largely programmed by women in 1946. So, and the first program, even the first program ever written on a piece of paper, even that was written by a woman. So this is a very empowering thing, I'll say. And even these days we see a lot of great women, who are coming up with a lot of great ideas, and they are basically coming up with programming and innovative ideas. So this is one of the machines. The basic need was to calculate, and as you can see, it's pretty bulky. It's pretty big. It almost took a size of a room, and it did a very small computing. It just did basic calculations, like plus, minus, multiply, divide. There was some basic tasks that these big machines used to handle. And these days we know we have these, normally in our mobile phones. So this is one piece of technology, one vintage piece of technology, we can say. Okay, Now let's start bifurcating, as in what exactly, uh, programming is, and let's dive deep into it. So yeah, what is hardware? Hardware is basically you know the all the devices that we have around us, like the iPhone, the phone, the Mac, you can see the PC, the personal computer that we have, the watches that we wear, even they are a piece of hardware. The fridge that we have these days, even they are, uh, smart. They're getting smart fridges, smart watches, smartphones. So everything around us consists of some or the other, uh, what do you call, programming related thing that we require. So next comes software. So these are all the hardwares. Now to actually get these hardware working, we need some software. We need some software to be written to on these hardware devices so that they know what to do, what exactly to do. Now comes software. What exactly software is? Okay, I guess there's some issue with the voice, I guess. Is my voice all right, guys? Is it repeating or something of that sort?
Anit, it's all right. You can continue.
Okay, great, no issues. Yeah, so as I was saying, the software basically comprises of, three various broad aspects, we can say. So there's a front end, there's a back end, and there's a database. Now, before going into them, we'll first see what exactly software is. So a very small and sleek definition of what software is, we can say it's a collection of instructions and programs that are executed on a computer. So instructions and programs is what exactly it is. It's basically the instructions that we give to the computer, to the hardware, to get the desired output. So all in all, basically this is software, this is programming generally refers to software side. So we'll be diving deep into the software knowledge and software side. Now these are some of the applications that you see in daily life, the Google Maps, the Microsoft Word, Facebook, even the notepad that we use is a part, is a piece of software. So again, Google Maps, it works on our mobile, it works on laptop, it's web based. Microsoft Docs, that's also, that also works on our computers. Facebook, it's a social media website. Notepad, a very simple text editor. Even that is a software written by someone. It consists of front end, the the text editor that you actually see on which you type. That's called the front end. Then there's a back end. Now when you change fonts, and when you change font sizes, and when you change all these different things, there are some set of instructions that are happening at the back end, at the back, which you don't see. All you see is the front end. And there's the database. uh, can't give you an example of database on Notepad. Maybe, yeah, when you save your text files, or maybe when you create any files on Notepad and you save it. So at that time, that particular file is stored somewhere. So where is it stored? It's stored on a database, we can say. So database is basically for storing. Backend is basically the processing part, and front end is what you see. So now let me take you a bit deeper into front end. Now you can see there's a picture on the right of front end. That's actually a meme. We'll get back to that meme after backend. You'll you'll get that meme later on, not right now. So front end, yeah. Let's dig into front end. Yeah. So front end again is divided into various aspects, we can say, like web development, app development, UI UX development. So web development, for example, now if you open google.com, let's say, so the front page that is visible to you is a very simple, sleek Google logo, search bar, search icon, and everybody has used Google, so that example would be pretty good, I'll say. So as soon as you open it, it just opens up as a simple, sleek, visually, it's very appealing, so that way it looks good. But actually, at the back end, there are so many things running which you don't know exactly, which is not visible to our eyes. It's actually happening in the back end on I'll come uh, back to that later on. My friends will explain that to you. So web development is a one major aspect of front end development. Then we have UI UX development. So this is basically user interface and user experience. So when you have so many things going on in the back end, you need to have a very simple and sleek front end so that the user actually understands how to use it. Now, for example, uh, like somebody doesn't know what exactly technology is or how it works and all that stuff. So to them, how can you explain to them how that particular app or particular website works? So that has to be very, we have to put a lot of thinking into it as to how exactly the user can approach that particular app, that particular website, and look at things and understand themselves how it works. So that's a whole different aspect. UI UX development doesn't generally require programming. It requires the knowledge of user experience, user interface, all the users and all that picture comes into this particular field. Now, app development, again, it's basically the apps that we use on our phone. It can be iPhone, it can be your Android device, it can be your Windows device. So all these things come into app development. Now, all these things you'll also see in backend, but at the front end, you know it's all about the things you see on the front. So front end web development is the practice of converting data to a graphical interface. I guess that makes more meaning now. And below you can see a lot of examples of different tools, or you can say different uh, programming frameworks, languages, or the particular environment where you write these set of instructions, and those instructions are converted into machine language so that the machine understands it and produces the output. So these are some of those environments, you can say. React, we have Flutter, the most basic ones from where everybody starts, the ground zero, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. This one. So this is basically the ground zero. This was the this is the most basic thing. Then comes React, then Flutter, then Adobe XD. This is XD, the XD you see. It's actually Adobe software on which you can develop UI and UX. It's just a drag drop thing, and you can quickly prototype some apps over there, and you can check the look and feel and how your app is going actually going to look. So after you are done with the UI UX thing, then the development phase comes. So there are a lot of phases which we won't go into right now. So I guess I've said enough. Now let's dig into backend. I guess Imran, are you going to tell about backend?
Yep, sure. I'll take it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. Am I audible now?
Yeah,
Yes, I
totally.
think you are.
Okay. Thank you. So, as Anit said, that we require any some sort of medium where your all the inputs which you give to the machine or any hardware, let's say, so all those instructions needs to be processed and filtered out to produce the appropriate output. So for that, we require the backend development. And so this is the basic definition which you can see on the screen, that says that the development refers to the server side of an application or your machine, and everything that communicates between your database and the front end. So let's give look at the example of Facebook, right? So what happens is when you logs into your profile or when you logs into the Facebook, um, the request is sent to the backend. And now what the backend does is it filters out all the generated posts and your recommended friends posts. So let's say you have friends, and those friends have they have posted some new feeds. All right, so all those new feeds gets fetched in, and then it gets rendered onto your UI. So that all things comes into the picture of a backend development. And so these are the some use cases which can see that you can write your custom servers. You have cloud, and so cloud is basically some storage on the internet, right? And then and then there is the business logic. So as far as the business logic is concerned, the most sleek meaning of this would be like you have any sort of business. So let's say Amazon is a very expensive and very great business. So what you do is you convert your business logic into the softwares, right? And through the online platform and medium, you try to gain the reach, and it behaves pretty much like software as a service. So there you can give your business into the online presence, and you can generate the leads. So that these all things can be done through your backend. And one more core fundamental of the backend is that all your database fetching and all your data which has been stored onto your some sort of databases. So we have different choices of databases, right? We'll not dig deep into that. So what it does, it basically fetches all the data which is needed at the particular device, based on the user, based on the respective users, right? So every user will have a different data. So all those data will be fetched, and then it would be rendered on your front end. So below you can see there are some technologies, or you can say the frameworks which you can use to write your logic into that particular environment. So first we have this Node.js. So this is basically a framework which you can use to write your entire servers, right? And then we have PHP and Java, and then the list goes on. So these are some of the good choices I would recommend you can go for as far as you're concerned with the backend development. So this was the whole monolithic idea behind the backend development. And so yeah, I guess there's a meme right up there. Can you zoom in into it? So it says, why do we need a backend? Why not just connect front end to the database? Oh, so many of you guys might have popping up this question in your mind, and so you can find your answers below. He says, yeah, and why do we eat and go to the bathroom while we can throw the food directly in the toilet? Because this stuff needs to be get processed. Yes, exactly. So that's what the main motive for behind the backend development. For sure you can try to customize and make requests to the database on the front end, but then you will end up being very complex, and the performance will degrade. And so for to avoid those stuff, we need backend, so everything is segregated. Yep. So that was the idea behind backend development. And I guess so yeah, as I said, there's a database for all your data. So your data needs to be stored somewhere, right? So what is the database? So database allows for the data to be stored quickly and easily, and these are used in many aspects of your daily life, right? So let's say the example of this particular presentation which we are presenting to you. Whatever you are seeing, like this, the text and the examples, the images, what do you think? They must be stored somewhere, right? So there's where the database comes into the picture. All these things and all the data which you see on the screen has to be stored somewhere, either on your local machine or on the cloud. So as we seen earlier, the cloud is nothing but just the storage which is present online. So it's a much particular like a private cloud. So these are some of the databases. We have Mongo, SQL, Oracle, and I guess Oracle everyone might have heard about that. So so let's say another example of your user profile on the Facebook, right? So all your posts, your date of birth, and everything which you save on your Facebook profile, all those things get stored into the database, and then it gets retrieved, and then you get the recommendations to your friend. So that's the idea of the database. And yeah, I guess Mhm. So Anit, we can get back to that meme which is above that. Yeah. So
Sure,
there
sure.
is.
So yeah, basically now we can relate what exactly that this meme means. So it says when front end is ready before back end. So what we can see here is the front end, that is the building ka jo samne ka area hota hai, the thing you see is ready, but there are no rooms. There's nothing in the back. It's like hollow, literally hollow. You just see the front end, but you don't see the back end. So that's the whole, analogy that we can actually give you about front end, back end. So front end can be the front fascia of your building that you can see from the outside, from the road maybe. And back end is actually the rooms that you have inside, the whole pillars that you have, that actually, sustains the whole building. So that's exactly the analogy that we can have right now. I hope that it gets more clearer. So let's move forward. Um, let's move to the fields. The fields that we have in the programming. I guess Imran, can you explain about some aspects of full stack and digital marketing? Let's start with you.
Yep, sure. So there can be many fields, right? There are many aspects. So it's not like that you just have the web development or you just have the backend. So there are the sub branches of the programming where you end up being so like where your interest lies in. So we'll start with the first. Let's understand what this is, the basic definition that computer programming is one of the most sought after career today. So every aspect of your life, either you are from the commerce background or arts, or you are from the computer background or science background, everything is interrelated to the computers and online presence, right? So we have this acronym that says digital India, right? So everything has been moving towards the computers, and there's the hell lot of needs of the programming and automatic autonomous things, right? So for that, essential part of any business in the area of fields is programming, right? So I guess we can move to full stack development. This is one of the branch of programming which you can aspire to. And so these are some of the applications of your full stack development. So like as we said in the beginning part, that there is a front end. So the whole dedicated developers are there out in the industries which which perform and practice the front end development. So the main motive and the main role of them is to just just develop and implement the user interface. So like whatever the user and the client sees is the full front end development. Then there's the backend. Yeah, so this is the perfect example of that. So as you guys can see, this is the website which you have the different responsiveness and different mobile friendly um, uh, uh, user experiences. So your website would look different on different sizes, and depending on the ratios of your device or machine. So that was the aim of front end developer. Then we have the backend developer, which generally the clients doesn't see and the user doesn't have any thing related to it. It's just the stuff which is getting processed in the backend. So here the developer, whoever the developer is or the employer is, he needs to be more sensitive, because if just a little bit thing gets broke up, then your entire application would get buggy, right? So there you have the developers who are managing the entire servers. They write the queries how the data would be shown onto your user mobile devices or your hardwares, right? So those are the developers. You can go for that also. And then there is a database management. So all these things comes into the full stack development. It's not like that you just a front end developer, then you would be called as a full stack developer. No, all these things which we have mentioned here, these are the core fundamental principles of the full stack development, and it's not necessary that you must be expertise into those fields. But yeah, you need some basics of that. So then comes the database management. So as we said earlier, that whoever the developer or the employer must be, then he must play around with the data. He must know how the data should be structured, modeling of the data, how the data should look. And so it doesn't degrades the performance whenever the request goes to the database and the results come back, right? Then your application or your website needs to be deployed somewhere, right? You don't want that that it's just stored on your local machine. So let's say on Facebook, everyone can just go on to go onto the browser and type facebook.com, and it's live, right? So to make your project and to make your development live to the other people's, you need deployment. And there are certain I'm sorry, and there are certain tools and technologies there. So there is Google Cloud. You might have heard about that, Google Cloud, Firebase. So these are the technologies. And can you just show that backend picture once? Yeah. So see, this is the workflow how your data has been getting processed. First, your browser sends the request, and this request is it basically travels through your web server, and your web server is nothing but your backend. So all your logic, like how the request would get processed and how the data would be generated onto the user's device, all those things are being treated here inside your web servers. And then the appropriate data which needs to be shown to the user, that is being request from your web server to the database, and then the database returns back the result, and so the result is shown to the user device. So this is the workflow how your data is being generated, and it travels back and forth. So that was. And then we have DevOps, which is a little bit technical. We'll not get dig into detail, but for the clear understanding, I'll just mention that let's say we have so in the industries, this is the best practice, right? We have two teams, because for sure there would not be a one person handling every different aspects. So one person is responsible for development. Everything comes into development, front end, back end, and everything. And the another person is responsible for deployment and all the server side operations. So in the DevOps, what happens is these both persons come together and they sit together, and there's a kind of pair programming between these two individuals, and they change and exchange the roles, and so the process becomes very much efficient and flexible. So that's what the main motive of DevOps. So these are the applications of some full stack development, which would be very much beneficial into your finance sectors, into your banking sectors, right? So let's say we are having those examples further, but yeah. So these are some benefits of it. And so there's another branch which is digital marketing, which I guess every one of you might have heard about it. So the digital marketing, if we say, it's nothing but how your products and how your business is being present online, right? So this is like in traditional era, where we have where the internet was not pretty much evolved, right? So we need to go through those traditional phases of running back and forth and generating leads through the human interventions, right? But now what the scenario is that you don't need to get step out of your house. You can pretty much do everything just with your computer and your mobile phones. So that's where digital marketing comes into the picture, and these are some of the applications of it. So we have content writers, right? So for example, I'm having a blogging website, or I'm having, and so let's say these article generation companies, what they does is every week they have their 2 to 3 articles popping out into the public. So that's where the criteria needs to be fulfilled. We have SEO. SEO is basically search engine optimization. So whenever you go into Google and type anything, so we have the first 10 results. What do you think, how those first 10 results are getting filtered? So that's where SEO comes into the picture. So there are some web crawlers which finds the most visited content onto the internet, and on the based of those counts, your reach gradually becomes higher and higher. And so if you have lots of people visiting your content or website, or any piece of content which is text, image, or anything perhaps, and so if the people are visiting in a very bulk of manner, so then your content would be on the higher rate, and you will get result on the Google. So it's all about your indexing and getting higher results. And then we have brand promotions, right? So let's say we have company where we have products, so we can promote our brands onto social media, or Google or Facebook, anywhere through, so that we can get the most lead generations, right? And the very next is the thing which is related to the brand promotion only, which is lead generations. So when you promote your content online, what happens is people will see your product, right? They'll get interest, they will see everything just by sitting at their home. They don't need to come to your shop. You have everything listed onto your whatever the site is. So that's how you can generate your leads. And then we have social media marketing, right? So the term exactly means that you market your brands or your products through a medium of social media. So you have Facebook campaigns, you have Google businesses, my businesses. So you can pretty much if I would like to say in a simple a sentence, that I would say that through digital marketing you can basically convert your leads into the online leads and online lead generations. So that's what the picture of digital marketing is. And you can see those can you Anit, can you zoom in onto SEO and Google? So this is the main scenario how your content gets indexed into the Googles, right? So uh, whenever you type anything, so you can see in green, this is SE, which is SEO. So that's how your, so there are certain keywords, right, which gets matched to your content, and then and then your results get rendered on the Google page. Yep, I guess that was it about the digital marketing. And I guess that Tushar would continue about um,
No, I think Anit will be continuing about IoT.
okay, okay, sure, sure.
Sure, no issues. So I guess Imran gave you a really deep in dive on full stack development and digital marketing. Now, all these things was mainly related to the mainstream market. Full stack development basically is the websites that we see, the apps that we see. All these things basically come under full stack development. Now, digital marketing is basically how you brand off your brand. Basically you are promoting it on social media and all that stuff. Now IoT is a little bit different from that. IoT, the full form, is Internet of Things. So Internet of Things, now that itself explains a lot. So basically, first let's see uh, the applications that we have of IoT. So the fitness trackers that we see, the MI bands that we have, the Fitbits that we have, that sends in data to our mobile phones. And there's one picture that you can see, this one. So these are some fitness bands that gives out data on your mobile phone, and they are connected obviously through Bluetooth. So these this is basically Internet of Things. Child and pet finder. Now for example, there are small devices that you put on your pet's belt maybe. And later on, if he goes somewhere, then you can easily track him from your mobile phone. And that device is actually connected to maybe mobile network, to maybe nearby Wi-Fi or something. But generally mobile network, because you don't have Wi-Fi's everywhere. So you might have mobile networks there. So child and pet finder, infant monitor. Now some people, not in India I'll say, but in foreign countries, what they have is, I'm sorry, yeah, so in foreign countries, some single parents, they have children at home, and they usually, keep them in this small uh, pram thing, and they keep these cameras there, which helps them monitor them easily when they're supposing buying groceries or something, and they can't take them everywhere. So they put them, these children, to sleep, and they have these cameras over there installed, which helps them monitor them. So that's infant monitor. Smart gardening, you know I'll just give you a quick example. खेती बाड़ी में काफी लोग को पता ही होगा, everybody might know about farming. So there are sensors, and there is a technology being developed, wherein these sensors just go into the ground, and they tell you the humidity, the moisture, the temperature level inside that particular sand, that जो मिट्टी है उसका, and that actually pushes data into your mobile phones, and that data is processed, and it tells you that whether this particular crop is fit for cultivation or not, or maybe what is the moisture level, do we need to switch on the water pump, and it automatically switches on the water pump as well. Like there's a trigger that goes on if the moisture level goes below some particular level, and the water pump is on. So these are some smart gardening thing. These can also be converted into small projects that you can do at a personal level, and we very much you know uh, suggest you to do them as well. You have a lot of YouTube videos, and you can always contact us regarding this. Apart from that, health monitoring, again, the Fitbit, the Mi band, that's also a kind of health monitoring device, you can say. Smart refrigerators, there are refrigerators that automatically sees what all things you have inside. And if you like, let's take a small example. You buy tomatoes, and you feed it into the smart refrigerator that I have bought 20 tomatoes, or let's say 1 kg tomatoes, and I have it in my refrigerator. Now you also said that once these tomatoes get below half kg, or uh, maybe 1/4 of a kg, automatically give order for the next kg. So these all things, devices are getting really smart, and all of this comes under IoT. This whole thing comes under IoT. Then we have supply chain management. Obviously, supply chain management is a huge thing. It's a thing adopted by Amazon, by Walmart, because they have a lot of products which comes in, which goes out every day. No, it's very hectic to keep a track of all of them. So all of these things are automated. Automated might be a new term for some of you, might not be. Automated is basically making something automatic. Things communicate with each other, tell them, they get a reply, and things work on their own, basically. So a very small example, I guess, would be this. So you have warehouses. These can be your warehouses. You have trucks, you have mobile devices, you have ships, shipping things from one country to another, via train, via ships, via trucks, you can say. And there are warehouses. So when you have shortage of some particular thing, like at an Amazon level, you if you have a shortage of something, now that's a big deal for a business like that. So they can't compromise on that. So as soon as they see that particular thing is going low on supply somewhere, they automatically trigger the next order. Now, it can be from the next city, from the next country, maybe, or maybe from the next door. It can be anything. So these are the small things that IoT is getting famous for, and it is a very booming country. So that was all for IoT, I'd say. um Next, we can talk about cybersecurity. I guess cybersecurity, many of you might be aware of that. Hacking, it's a very people are very enthusiastic about hacking and what it is. But basically, to be very honest, it's not a good thing, hacking, and it's considered as fraud, and it's illegal. But also, there is a part where it is ethical, where people actually hack into systems to know about the vulnerabilities. Now, if we have hardware and if we have software, no hardware and no software is 100% safe, and that's a fact. So This particular field is generated out of that. You find vulnerabilities, you get into those systems, you hack into them, and there you go. You commit a crime. And so basically, this is cybersecurity basically deals with these kind of crimes. So there are some of the crimes that I have listed down. There are ransomware attacks. This was a very famous attack that happened recently on Windows 7 machines in banks. So what happened is that these banks, they all used Windows 7 for their cash deposits and withdrawals and all that stuff, and the hackers knew about that. So what they did is they got into these machines, they hacked them, and this was a small message that they gave. This is called a ransomware attack. Ransom stands for paying for from some kind of ransom. Basically, ransom is like you're threatening someone to pay. So this was a small message that was displaying on all of these machines, which the hacker hacked, and they used this very discrete form of payment called Bitcoin to get the payments. Now you don't know who's the receiver on the other end in this kind of payment, Bitcoin. So hackers generally use these, like you can see, send $300 worth of Bitcoin to this address. So all of this is very very secure and very uh, unhackable, you can say, some kind of. So these were all the messages that were popping up on these Windows 7 based machines, and they got compromised. We say they got compromised. So cybersecurity comes into the picture. Cybersecurity gets the chance to save them all from this. Cybersecurity basically you can say rehacked the hackers. That's not even a word, but let's say it that way. Rehacked the hackers, and they kind of saved us from these all threats and all these ransoms. The next comes DDoS attack. DDoS attack is basically, for example, you are browsing a website, maybe let's say Facebook. Now DDoS attacks doesn't happen on Facebook because it's a very big company. They are secure from that. They all know how it happens and how to avoid that. So DDoS, basically what it is, you open a website, there is some load that you put on the server or on that website, right? So what if people like you, but there are 1 million of them, open that particular website? That puts a lot of load on that website, and it might not open for the million plus one user, because there are already a lot of users. So what these attackers do, these basically you know they have some sort of programs, or you can say softwares, or sort of instructions that they generate, and they show the other website that it's being accessed by 1 million users. And what happens, it crashes, it shuts down. So that is again an illegal thing, and these mostly happen on small websites. Attackers happen to target them, and also on big websites. Not that it doesn't happen on big websites, it also happens on WhatsApp, Facebook. Now there are times, generally on festivals, you can say, or maybe when the Indian team, cricket team, won some World Cup, or maybe there's football matches going on, or maybe it's New Year. People, push a lot of messages on WhatsApp and on all the social media platforms. So at that time, it puts a lot of load. That's not illegal. That's just a lot of users. Now these platforms can't handle it sometimes, and they tend to hang. Messages late जाते हैं on WhatsApp. Sometimes Facebook doesn't load up because a lot of users are using it, or maybe it's going from a DDoS attack. So that's basically DDoS attack. Backdoor attacks are basically, the hackers, they have installed some kind of bad softwares in your um, system. Sorry, yeah. So for example, you download something from torrent, which is again illegal if you are downloading something that is copyrighted, for example, songs or something of that sort. Now the hackers, what they do is they install or they tweak these songs or these files in a way that they get access to your computer remotely. They're not even physically touching it, but they are getting the access via that small change that they do on the software, and they get the access to your laptop. So that is a backdoor attack. Phishing attack is basically, there's something like let's say, uh, let's take an example of ICICI Bank. Now, there is a website of ICICI Bank, and you can do transactions through that. But if I'm a hacker, I'll send you an email, and that email will have a link, and maybe it won't be ICICI, it will be ICIC, and you might not notice that small difference, small change. So you'll just click, you'll put in your credentials, and you're done. You're hacked, and all that money that you had in your account, that's gone, just because that hacker made a similar website and he sent you the link, or he or she sent you the link, and you uh, didn't notice the change, and you just put on your credentials and you're done. Now, OTP frauds are happening a lot this lockdown. Now, what is happening is people just call up, they say, sir, you have a lot of cash back that's hung up somewhere, and you need to give me that OTP on your mobile phone, and I'll just release that quickly. And just it might be greed, it might be curiosity, you might just give on the OTP, and that results in a fraud. That particular person is actually asking for that OTP because he or she might hack your account, and it might not even look like it's illegal because you just gave the OTP. It's just that you didn't know that he or she was a hacker. OTPs are something that's not supposed to be given to anybody. So uh, so cybersecurity basically looks at all of these aspects, and it secures us from this. So it's very important. Cybersecurity also takes account the awareness that people need to have. So people need to be aware about it, and then cybersecurity can actually help us. So yeah, I guess that's it for cybersecurity. Now I'll ask Tushar to explain you further about machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science. Tushar?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with machine learning. What exactly is machine learning? Well, to simply put it, it is a study of computer algorithms which involves automatically learning through experience. It's exactly same. For example, as a child, as a toddler, you don't know any. You started to play cricket. You didn't know how to handle a ball. You kept throwing the ball at a wall, trying to catch it, and through experience, you learned how to catch the ball, and now you're pretty good at it, right? So that's exactly how our machine learning algorithms also learn through experience and try to get better at handling complex tasks, which will be very useful for us humans in future to handle our smaller complex tasks. Okay, so some of the early examples of machine learning and artificial intelligence is virtual assistants like Siri, Alexa. So you can you ask Siri for time, or there is no okay. So have any of you seen the Google's virtual assistant's newest feature that it can call to your barber, let's say, and set up an appointment. So that's the kind of development that is going on in these fields. So while there are okay, so let's move on to next one, social media services. So for example, in Netflix or Facebook, you have chatbots which talk to you as if they are humans, and you don't even find out about them. Online customer service, again, chatbots, which you can find it almost any website that you can visit right now. They are everywhere right now. Product recommendations. So while you're shopping at Amazon, you pick a few products and put them in cart. So the site also recommends you other products as recommendation because of your previous choices. So it has learned that you're buying these things and you also need these other things, so it is recommending you. So that's how we are implementing machine learning into our daily lives. And okay, so I haven't talked about artificial intelligence. So as the name suggests, artificial, that is man-made. Intelligence, well, the name itself explains it, intelligence. So artificial intelligence is a study and a field in which we are trying to replicate a human brain. So we can handle more complex stuff than currently machine learning can handle. And machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence. So that's all I can say briefly, not going deep into it. So now let's move on to data science. Anit? Okay. So what is what is data science? So data science is an interdisciplinary field of machine learning, statistics, and math. So what data scientists do exactly is try to extract knowledge out of data. So for example, you have so many autobiographies of so many people. Now you want to find out which year they were born in and where exactly they studied, what's their education and stuff like that from their autobiographies. So in these cases, instead you can do it by reading their autobiographies and extracting the information yourself, or you can train a machine learning algorithm to do that for you. So you're saving so much time by not reading the book, and you're also getting all the information that you need. So that is one of the examples of data science. Now, widely it is used as fraud and risk detection. Sorry. So there are so many credit card frauds going on right now, and and so many transactions going on right now. So we don't have the manual prowess to look at every transaction and find out if it's fraud or if it's legit. So here data science comes in handy to find out frauds and risks. Healthcare. So one of the examples are virtual doctors, if you've heard of them. So there also data science is used, which will be further virtual doctors will be further explained in the next part of this session. So as you can read, all of these fields: advanced image recognition, speech recognition, airline route planning, website recommendations, they all come under data science. Data science is used to enhance and provide us with these many applications currently. So let's move on to the next section. Ani. So moving on to industries. Industries can be described as a group of productive enterprises or organizations that produce or supply goods and services or incomes. So this is basically what in the industry is can be defined as. So as some of you might know, industrial revolution, which started in 1800. The first one was when steam engine came into being. The second one was when we discovered oil. So electricity and oil. These were the main ingredients for second industrial revolution. The third one was when we started producing semiconductors and first of our computers to put a man on the moon, to guide satellites in space and stuff like that. The fourth one is, and the important one, which happened in last, what you say, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, was uh, digitalization of industries. So it not only increased productivity, efficiency, and economy, etc., to uh, great amount, the fourth industrial revolution. So now we're going to talk about how coding or programming has helped various industries uh, right now. So let's start with banking and finance. Just a minute. So yeah, let's begin. Zerodha. Have any of you heard about Zerodha? It's a very good startup. So previously, for buying and selling stocks, you'll have to you'll have to go to stock brokerage and pay them some fees and buy your stocks or sell them. Now it has become such an easy thing to do. You just visit the Zerodha website and you can buy or sell stocks according to your will, and no additional cost required to pay for brokerage. So it has, saved us, the investors, a lot of money. And almost all of you must have heard about Mastercard and Visa. They are the big giants of our financial industries. They handle almost all of the transactions that are going around in the world. So they use that by using they do that by using the power of coding and programming to handle billions or trillions of transactions per month or per year. That's the kind of thing that coding has helped us to do. And let's move on to the next one of the next industries, that would be healthcare. So as I said before about virtual doctors, so Practo is a very interesting unicorn startup which has helped grow the online presence of doctors to a very good extent. They help you with setting up with appointments with doctors, and set up surgery appointments, and etc. etc. What they also provide are virtual doctors. So let's say some of you have mild symptoms of cold or fever. So virtual doctors are machine learning trained chatbots which uh, ask you your symptoms and prescribe you some medicines according to what they know. So this is one of the revolutionary things that is happening in the medical world of programming. And secondly, programming has, a DNA strand. A single genome of our blood has up to 2 million DNA strands. Now, doing it manually with pen and paper might be very difficult for any human being. So, programming has made it a lot easier. You just have to put in the data, and you can continue your DNA studies to any limits that you want. You can do research and stuff using programming. So, let's, Anit, yeah, let's move on to defense. So yeah, defense. So it defense industry programming, it helps down and radar tracking enemy airplanes in the air. So in the backend, there's also code involved to track these things and to estimate where these projectiles will be in 1 minute or 2 minutes according to the speed and direction. So in the backend, code is involved in calculation of all those stuff. And also one of the very important thing is communication. So military communication needs to be secure and confidential, which is done through coding and networking and cybersecurity, uh, algorithms. So I believe next my friend Imran would be explaining you about the impact of programming on social media.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, as we discussed in full stack development or in digital marketing about social media and all the online presence, so these big giant companies, what they are doing is they are making hilarious of monies and pennies through programming, because Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, what they are doing is they are making the hell lot of monies with the knowledge of programming, and so they have become the great industries in today's time, as you all might know. So that was it about programming, about industries of the social media industries about programming. And we can, I guess, move to the e-commerce part, Anit. So the best example of e-commerce I would like to give is Amazon. It's a industry, and they have translated their platform through the knowledge of coding, and now they are earning the money through it. And Um, we have another example of a Zomato or Swiggy. What they are doing is they are providing the services through the software, which is nothing but the programming. So that's how you can benefit your industries and your businesses through the to the knowledge of the coding. I guess the next part Anit will explain and he will dig deep into manufacturing part. Anit?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just quickly, get done with the manufacturing part. I had already explained about manufacturing and how, manufacturing industry is booming a lot. Again, there's a similar photograph you can see here. The moving parts, then there's a dedicated place where, the person is supervising the whole uh, current going on systems on the monitors, on the screens. And then there are also people monitoring, the products that are going on the supply chain, and also on the machine. And then you can see a mobile screen. Now what all of this indicates is that everything is getting automated, and you know things are getting very simpler, I'd say, in a way that, you know um, everything right now is coming on small devices and consolidated forms where you can actually see everything, the whole analytics. Now on that mobile screen you can actually see how many boxes or products passed on from that supply chain. How many products did you deliver today? And after some time it will also start giving you analytics. Now what analytics is, I guess my friend Tushar explained it pretty well, that it can actually tell you, predict for you, that how many boxes will be produced in the future, and what how will it affect your business in the future. Now all of these things, I guess you commerce people, you accounts people will know even better than me, because business for that matter is your cup of tea and your game, I'd rather say. Yeah, so that was actually all about manufacturing. I'll Now, let me just quickly tell you about some of the resources that we have, curated a list for you, and then we'll just wrap up the whole event with a small feedback form that we all need you to fill. So you can take screenshots of the resources. Yeah. So again, I have a small meme for you. This is a crux of the life of a programmer. So doctor says googling stuff online doesn't make you a doctor. So you have that look from a programmer that, okay, we do that every day. That's our job. So that's basically how you can, you have to keep googling stuff a lot. And again, it's all you can take a lot of courses, you can take up a lot of courses, but again at the end of the day it's all about how, well you yourself understand things.
Exactly. The more you explore, the more you learn.
Exactly. So yeah, so I'll just, take you through a cycle. You can take screenshots. I'll stop at every slide for around 3 seconds, and you can take screenshots of all the links that we have here. From these links, you can actually start from scratch. And once you are done with filling the feedback form, we'll also be sending you the link of the slide where you can actually, click on these links and you can get to them. So that was for full stack development. Then we have for data scientist. If you want to dig deep into data science, then you can have a list of all these courses that we have. uh, Udacity, Learn Digital, Coursera are really good platforms for that matter. Cybersecurity, we have courses from Google, we have courses from Coursera, we have some courses on YouTube. Now I personally like Computer Fillet a lot because they talk a lot about security and all that stuff. Then we have digital marketing. Digital marketing, you can also look, there's a lot of courses by Google. Learn digital dot with Google. They also have a lot of other courses that you can opt for. And YouTube, again, that's the most basic source that we know. MLAI, again, links from Google, from YouTube. Then we have a roadmap here where you can actually know exactly how you can proceed with learning machine learning. So it's a very vast thing. You have to start from zero, and you need to give a lot of time to it if you want to get good with it. Then we have some links for IoT. IoT is not a very generalized thing. It is into every field. It's in machine learning, it's in full stack, it's everywhere. So there's no consolidated, place where you can learn all of IoT. You'll have to, look up for it at a lot of places that way. So these are some of the resources we have for you. I hope you took screenshots. If not, we'll be sending you the links. It's just that we want you guys to, fill this small feedback form. You can simply note this link. It's bit.ly/let's learn binary. The initial letters of each word is capital. L for let's, L for learn, and B for binary is capital. And you can quickly go on to this link and you can fill a small feedback form that we have. And if you want to, learn more about all of these things, the programming languages maybe, or you have some issues you want to get help on, we can help you on with it. And we can also, we have some courses, custom courses specially designed for you guys, for people who are starting from zero. So for them we have specially designed some courses. If you want courses on any of the fields, any of the programming languages that you like, you can mention that in the feedback form and we'll be happy to help you. So yeah, um now further,
Shivam,
I guess Shivam, if you can uh,
Yes.
read out some questions from the chat. We can have questions from people now.
Yeah, sure. So that was a great session from our guest speaker, Mr. Anit Singh, and Mr. Sayyid Imran, and Mr. Tushar Trivedi. I hope everyone has learned something new today, and it was very informative and knowledgeable session. So now we will have question and answer round. So I will read out one question. So the first question is, I want to know more about front end development.
Okay, I guess Imran, if you want to take that question.
Yeah, sure. So, front end development, I guess we have the roadmap link, and you can find pretty much everything about the front end development there. And if not, then I would just you can just ping any one of us. And about the front end development, it's just about how you structure your web pages, and concerned about mobile, how you structure your screen so that it's very much user friendly for the users to navigate to between different pages and screen. So it's pretty much about user interface and user experience, I guess.
Okay, so that was great. So the second question is, what is the market value for front end development?
The market value, it's actually not constrained. It keeps on fluctuates. It depends on the location and your particular skills. So the more you are having experience, and the more you have get your hand dirty in the particular frameworks or technologies, the more you'll get paid.
Okay. So the next question is, which programming language should I use to create a backend for a application?
So I would like to take this one also, Anit. So it's incumbent on what technologies you are using on your front end. So my personal suggestion would be, because for the web pages and websites, for sure you're gonna learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? So the my personal recommendation is, if you are going for the backend development, because on the front end you would be learning JavaScript, so it would be more efficient and flexible for you to write your servers and do the backend development stuff in the JavaScript only. And so you can do that with Node.js. So my personal recommendation would be to go with Node.js if you are opting for backend development.
So I think we are done with the question and answer round. So I would like to thanks all our participants who have joined us live, and special thanks to Mr. Kevin for handling the live stream process. So I think we could wrap up.
Exactly, Kevin. Really, hats off to that guy. He has handled the whole streaming that you guys are actually seeing on YouTube. We had to do a lot of mocks for this, and it was really great working with Kevin. Yeah,
thank you guys for listening to us.
Thank you
It
for
was
thanks
a
a
great
lot.
pleasure.
Thanks a lot, guys. Okay.
have a nice day and keep on exploring.